Hello lovelies, today I am going to be sharing with you my small fountain pen collection. I want to start off with my gold nibs first, and the first one I'm going to talk about is my very first gold nib, which is the Yoseka Frebch. And this one is a Sailor Pro Gear Slim, and it is a broad nib pen. At the time, I was very into medium and broad nibs, and this pen did not disappoint. It is such a smooth writer, and it has that sailor feedback, but in a very soft and almost used pencil way. My only gripe with this is that the ink is starting to get stuck between the grip section, and I've seen a few sailors have this problem, and unfortunately mine does too. Other than that, I adore this pen. I love the color. It's a little chameleon. Sometimes in the sun it looks like a soft milky jade green color, and in the shade it's a milky bluish gray color. I feel like the pink finials are the cherry on top, and overall, this is a beautiful pen and a lovely writer. I guess I'll continue on with the other sailor I have. I bought this plain black one just for the nib. I wanted a fine rhodium nib that I can switch out the broad nib, because as I mentioned, I was more into medium and broads, and I realized that I am more of a fine to extra fine girl. So the whole purpose of this black pen was for swapping the nib, and the nib was actually pretty awful. It would tear the paper. So I channeled my imaginary nibsmith skills and actually filed this down a bit to make it a lot smoother, and it's actually one of my favorites. Before this, I had another Pro Gear Slim in the white and black body that everybody has, and I liked it too, but not enough to keep it. The next pen I want to share with you is this beautiful Shape of the Heart. I adore this pen. This is my second gold nib pen, and I really love the finial. It actually has 2 gold heart pieces inside, and I love the classic design of this pen, the black and the rose gold with the unexpected crystal finial. And you can see the mark where I post a pen, but that is just how I use my pens, and it's okay. My favorite thing about this pen is the nib, and it has that gorgeous little heart breather hole that I feel like everyone loves with platinum. It is such a nice wet writer, and I truly love this pen. Now, going on with the order of purchase, my next one is the Platinum Century Celluloid, and I love this pen. It is a gorgeous pen, and I love the nib on it. This one's a fine, but I feel like it writes finer than the average Japanese fine. The only thing I don't like about this pen is how loose the finial is, and it is constantly getting loose. You can see how the clip is wiggling, and that is because the finial needs to be screwed in, I guess. It always comes loose no matter how much I tighten it, and I've actually had it fall off on its own. I don't know why it's doing it. I feel like putting some Loctite or something on it. But other than that, it's a gorgeous pen. I love the feeling of celluloid. It's kind of warm to hold. I don't know, it warms up to your hand's temperature. It's a weird way to explain it, but it is a beautiful pen, and I'm happy to have this one in the collection. Now, this one is my baby. This is I don't know if it's a grail pen, but I've wanted this pen for a very long time, and it is my absolute favorite. This is the one, if there was a fire in my house, I would grab my Bible and grab this pen and head out the door. I love the way this pen writes. It writes so perfectly. I love the nib. It is a fine nib and it is the smoothest thing ever. It is a vacuum filler and it holds so much ink. It's really, really good for traveling too. I feel like this pen kind of ruined all pens for me because it really set my expectation really high. Like I expect every pen to write this smoothly and work with any ink I throw at it. It's phenomenal with really dry inks. I know a lot of people hate dry inks, but I honestly don't mind it. And maybe it's because of this pen. I don't know. I just adore this pen. I know it's not as colorful and beautiful as a Sailor. It's more of a classic design, but really I can put any ink in this pen and I'm golden. The last gold nib I have to share with you is this Pilot Vanishing Point Decimo. At first I was torn between the regular one and the Decimo, but I really love this lavender color and I went for the Decimo, and I really should have gotten the regular Vanishing Point. The nib is fine. It's perfect. It's actually really smooth for an extra fine nib, but I don't know. This pen is just really uncomfortable for me to write with for long periods of time. I think it's just too skinny. I don't know. There's something about it that I don't really love, and I only used it for like about a paragraph and I flushed it out and never used it again. Really, I need to get rid of this and post it up for sale. It's in perfect condition and I know I'm never going to use it. Moving on to my steel nibs. All right, let's go with the first ever fountain pen that got me into fountain pens in the first place, and it is this limited edition Travelers Company Factory Green pen. Originally, this was a roller ball, and I hated the roller ball. The ink did not flow through it at all. It was very awkward, and that's when I went and purchased the fountain pen nib unit, and I fell in love. This pen is so nice to hold. It is so teeny and it writes so smoothly. I am surprised how smooth this pen is. After trying so many other pens, this one still is one of my top 5 smoothest pens that I own. The one next to it is its brother, and of course I had to get the brass version. I wanted that patina to show through, and I don't know, I guess my hands aren't that oily because I've used this pen so many times and there isn't that patina on this brass, but it's okay. I'm sure it'll get there eventually. But I really love these 2 tiny pens. They never dry out no matter how long I use them, and they're just so handy. This next pen is an Esterbrook Estie in sea glass, and I love this pen. It is gorgeous. I love looking at it. Honestly, I feel like it's so beautiful. It looks like the sea to me. And this one is a fine nib, and it has this like springy locking mechanism, which is really cool. At first, I wasn't sure about Estes. I thought they were really overhyped until I actually tried it, and I did fall in love with it. However, I don't know if I would purchase another one, maybe the white one, only because I feel like the price is really up there for what you're actually getting. At the end of the day, it is a steel nib, and I feel like my TWSBI writes a little bit smoother than my Esterbrook Estie, specifically the rose gold one. And I don't know, I feel like, yeah, it is beautiful, but I feel like the price is just a little too high for the Estie compared to something like a TWSBI. Moving on to my TWSBIs. Now, I had other TWSBI colors, but these are the 3 left standing. And this purple one is the glow one, which is very fun to use at nighttime, especially when it's been charging in the sun all day. And I was searching for this pastel pink one for a long time. It was kind of hard to find here in the US, but I did find one on Etsy and for a good price too. But my baby is the TWSBI Creme. This one writes so nicely, and I don't know if it's because it has that gold colored nib. I feel the same way about my olive Kaweco, which is a gold colored nib too. But I don't know, there's something about this TWSBI. It's so nice. It writes so beautifully. It is a fine nib, and the other 2 are actually extra fine nibs, but I really love TWSBIs. I know people have mixed feelings about this, but I actually love the Carousel. It's a great entry-level pen, and this green one is a medium nib, and it writes really nicely for an entry-level pen. I really like that this is like a fidget-friendly pen. The snap is so satisfying on the cap, and I actually like to rotate and fiddle with this pen. And I don't know what sorcery Ferris Wheel Press does with these pens, but they work so well with their shimmering inks. Even my vanilla one, which is a fine nib, it handles all the shimmer inks so well. I've tried putting shimmer inks inside my TWSBI ECOs because I feel like they would look really nice in the demonstrator, but they always clog on me, and I don't know how, but the Carousel rarely clogs on me. And I like the medium nib the most because it writes sort of in between Japanese medium. It's just a hair thicker maybe, but not as thick as a German medium nib. The last pens I want to talk about are my Kawecos, and this is the second fountain pen I purchased after the Traveler's Company ones, and I really fell in love with the Iridescent Pearl colorway. And I just love Kawecos. They're so nice to write with. They're so tiny and portable and just so versatile. You can use cartridges or converters with these. Now, the converter doesn't hold much ink at all. I mean, I guess it's good if you're using like little sample inks and just want to try out a color, or if you're someone like me who changes inks often. And like I mentioned before, the olive one is my absolute favorite one. It just writes like a dream, and all my Kawecos are in a medium nib. I'm sure you've probably seen in my Instagram the rainbow of Kawecos that I have. I have narrowed them down quite a bit and passed them along to friends, and they've all loved the Kawecos. But yeah, I think out of all of my steel nibs, these 2 are the smoothest, almost feeling like a gold nib pen. Yeah, I love these 2 so much, and I feel like these have to stay in my collection other than the Traveler's Company ones. These 2 definitely have a permanent place in my collection. Okay, so here is a final overview of all of my pens. And I love all of these pens, except for the Pilot Vanishing Point. I feel like I have this almost nature themed with neutrals. We have bits of purple and pink and hints of blue and green, but they're mostly neutral and none of them really stand out or are in your face. And I'm actually okay with that because I feel like I can put any ink color in here for most of them, and I'm really happy with them. I don't think I'm going to be adding too much to these collections. Maybe I'll add another TWSBI if they came out with a like tan colored one. I definitely want to get a Sailor Pro Gear size. I've never tried that 21 karat nib, and I feel like if I'm gonna get that Sailor, I might as well get the Yoseka home pen. I feel like that's the only pen that I really, really want this year, and it's just so beautiful, and I feel like it fits perfectly in my collection, right? Anyways, I hope you enjoyed my little curated fountain pen collection. I would love it if you comment down below where you are at in your fountain pen journey. Are you a collector, or are you like me, more of a user? I would also like to know if you found your the one pen, and if not, what pen do you think that will be? Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.